What is going on, Ticker Nation? Guess who's here? It's Chris. And today you're lucky enough to hear us talking about FUBO. Actually, Chris will be. I'm just going to say a couple of things. I'm going to ask him some questions. And this guy's going to give us the latest updates. Hopefully a new price target on FUBO. And you know we all think highly of FUBO because we still hold our shares. So Chris, always happy to have you talking about FUBO. Tell us what's going on with FUBO. It's taken quite a beating in the market. Should people be scared? Should they get to selling the stock? I mean, what do they need to do right now, Chris?
Well, I always got a litmus test I use when, things get a little shaky. And you know what I always say? Is it systemic? Is everybody getting a beating, or is it just FUBO with water in the backyard?
Well, it looks to me like most stocks are taking a beating.
So if it's most stocks, it's just what's going on. So what we're talking about with FUBO, you really got to understand what you're getting into, and you're getting into a long play. So FUBO is not for the day trader. It's not for someone with a weak stomach. It's not for someone who is just, want to be out in a year. FUBO is a 4 or 5 year play minimum. They're not profitable. They have a little ways to go. They're on the right track. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. So once you understand that, and then you really got to understand if it's not going to happen in the first, 2 or 3 years of the foreseeable future, what you really need to understand is how the stock price is put together. And I do this on my channel for my, I think I have 5 people who consistently follows FUBO, and I cover them because I hold them in a portfolio that I manage for a 14-year-old. So, and the 14-year-old's not going to college for a while, obviously. So that's the long game that I have them a part of that portfolio with. But you really need to understand inflation. You need to really understand treasury yields, bond rates, market risk. You really need to understand beta. Did you ever talk to this channel about beta? You still haven't
I
done
have
that?
made a video about beta. It's been a while. I never made another video about it.
But once you break down how a stock price is, the composition of it, not squeezing, not MOAS. I mean, you really strip it apart and says, what this thing represents and how you arrive at it. Then you can understand what it's sensitive to. And now we're just seeing what this stock is sensitive to. But they're still doing exactly what he's been saying he's going to do. So if you listen to David in these meetings and he says, hey, we're going to acquire X, Y, and Z, and we're going to do this and take over the world, until he does something that's inconsistent with his speech, and the stock does something that's inconsistent with the macro economy, I'm going to go ahead and stay in the lane with him.
Right. I mean, he seems to be a man of his word, Chris. That's one thing I do.
Right. And I mean, he said he's going to go buy these companies. He's going to do gambling. He's going to do this. He's going to raise his money for that. And until he does something different, he's doing exactly what you bought the stock to do.
Right. And now, by the way, guys, y'all don't know this, but I do because I'm privy to this information. Chris recorded a video on FUBO today that he's about to drop. It has not dropped on his channel yet, so you guys are getting it first because you know what? Top Ticker Trades gets special favors.
Because I'm over here with you guys and not home publishing it. That's why.
Right. So, Chris, can you give this channel a sneak peek at what you said to your channel today?
What we're talking about today, I get an email from a couple of guys that says, hey, it's been a while. So I kind of go out and I take care of those guys. What we're talking about is just the road to profitability, what's in the way, reassuring them that nothing fundamentally is gone wrong. They're still doing exactly what they say they're going to do. So it's kind of like if this guy comes out and says, hey, we're done spending and buying companies, and then he raises dilute shares and buys a company, that would be cause for alarm. But everything this guy is saying, he's executing it. He's driving down expenses. He's up over 1 million subscribers. So everything is going in the right direction. You got a lot of competition. I think it's going to be some consolidation. And the worst thing that can happen, in my opinion, with this company is that they get acquired, which is also good for me.
And
so
you thought, Chris, that this would be DraftKings that would be acquiring them. Is that still your theory?
I can speak off the record on this channel. I think it may be DraftKings. It's probably a good chance if they get acquired. The lower we see the stock price go, the higher that probability
Right.
increases. So we never know. I hope they kind of go it alone, but it's win-win either way for
Right.
me.
Yeah. So one last thing I wanted to say or ask about Chris, they did recently acquire a foreign company. Now they're trying to expand internationally. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a long game. If your bread and butter is going to be soccer, football, if you're an international viewer, France is a good place to start. Europe, those guys, it's crazy over there with football. It's kind of hard for us to understand in the U.S., but
Right.
if you got some international viewers, they'll tell you. I'm like,
Right.
it's death threats if you lose a
Right,
match.
yeah.
So I mean, and if you are a good player, they make statues out of you. So
Right.
Getting in France, that's a good deal. Germany, so you got to get in that market and get those viewers if you want to take over the soccer theater, because we have no soccer theater here in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
The men's U.S. team will lose, and it's like, whatever. If France national team loses, it's like, oh my God, fire the family, whatever.
Right. And Chris, before we go, can you give us your current price target or your most recent price target for FUBO?
I believe, right off the top of my head, I think I'm right in that $40 to $50 range.
Okay.
It's still the same. I still add to that position. So, I mean, things are going to happen. We're going to have this conversation every year for a growth company.
Right.
Because they're so sensitive to so many different things. You really, really got to understand how stock prices are constructed and put together. And once you really understand that, it'll be hard to rattle you. And that's why, put the Buffett thumb there. You can show the little Buffett thing to them. The one I sent you.
Right.
Is that it's when you are on a certain level, like you don't get rattled. It's like you can call certain people up, and they're like, okay, this is no big deal. This is no big deal. Oh, that's a big deal. And we talked about this in the other video with Neo. So this is what it boils down to. You either trust the Chinese government or you don't. And you really don't invest anything that you're not willing to lose. All investments have risk. With that being said, I'm comfortable with my position with FUBO. I'm comfortable that he's doing what he says he's going to do. And I listen to what he say, and then I look at his actions. And within the company, if they match, continue to invest. If they don't, move to another company that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. And I feel very comfortable. I mean, based on his actions, I don't mean to reiterate what I said earlier, but yeah, David Gandler is probably one of my favorite CEOs. Man of his word for sure.
Yeah, if you're going to go out and say you're going to take over, because I just got in these guys this year, but from what I understand, historically, these guys started off as a soccer deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me, the investor, that you're going to take over the world and broadcast soccer, and you do not go and acquire a European foothold, I'm not going to take you very seriously.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't be in Europe and telling your company and investors that, hey, I'm going to go take a piece of the NFL, and you have zero U.S. presence.
Right.
I mean, it sounds crazy. So not only am I not surprised with the deal in France, I will be surprised if he does not continue to expand his footprint, because that's where the money is.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Yes, they were in South America, but your money is in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like a bigger economy. So these guys need subscribers. They need to scale this company, and a lot of people are passionate about it, but a lot of people don't have the dollars. I think Europe is a good way to go.